Hello everyone, my name is Troy and welcome back to the KotLC Fanbase. Today I'm bringing you an extensive review on Stellarlune, including spoilers, so if you haven't read the book yet, I would definitely recommend that you do not watch this video yet. It's been about a month since I read Stellarlune, so I've had some time to kind of dwell on my thoughts about the book, and I'm separating this review into three categories, so characters, plot, and action. I'm going to discuss all of these three sections in this video. If you're excited, please do be sure to leave a like on the video, it really helps out a lot. Subscribe to our channel and share this video with a friend. Without further ado, we have a lot to talk about in this video, so let's just get started. Alrighty, so the first category that I want to talk about is characters. We have seen a lot of development in Stellarlune, probably because Shannon has released this book 2 years after the previous one. Just talking about the elephant in the room, Sophie had a lot of change in this book. We could see her taking on a leadership role, which I love to see. Her kind of stepping up to the challenge of defeating Gisela and also protecting Keith. Even when she's feeling discouraged, she's able to present herself as a strong and willful leader. A development that I found was a little bit forced is Ro. Ro has taken the role as the kind of comedic relief in the story, and she has all of these one-liners that start to get annoying, and I was annoyed, and I was texting Joey while reading this book, I'm getting annoyed about Ro because she just had so much to say all the time and she's constantly butting in. She wasn't ever doing anything that was super productive in the dialogue, and her character just seemed like it was trying to appeal to like the younger readers, like the 8-year-olds. Ro just seemed a little bit cheesy and corny. I loved her in previous books, but we just had too much of her, and I was kind of grateful when she left to do something actually productive other than complaining. I know you guys might hate me for this part of the review, but I had to say it. And another thing that was annoying was Lynn, which like I hate to say, but she was also the kind of complainy type. She was always on the opposite side of the plans. She wasn't really helping. She was mad at Tam all the time and Glimmer. Not a huge fan of Lynn in this book, unfortunately. What I was a fan of was the development of our new favorite character, Rainy. I absolutely love the backstory of Rainy and how she came to be in the Neverseen and how she's now siding with the Black Swan. I thought that was really cool, and I think she also has great leadership skills and she's able to make plans that are productive. So I'm really glad that Rainy made an appearance and became a bigger character in this book because she really made strides towards progress. Next, I want to talk about Keith. Keith really evolved kind of backwards in this book. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of Keith's development, but it also feels more realistic, so I'm glad that Shannon is giving him a more realistic brokenness. He has experienced all this trauma, and this is probably how he should be acting and feeling. He has been through some serious stuff, and we need to allow him time to heal. Cassius also is starting to get a little redemption arc, which I don't know how I feel about yet, but it does seem that he's opening his heart more to Keith and allowing more love to come in, and this is really interesting. I feel like by the end of the series, Cassius could be slightly loving towards Keith. We'll see. Last kind of big development I want to talk about is Fitz. I really thought Shannon would try to redeem Fitz more, but as we saw, Fitz is still being kind of a jerk, and especially about the relationship between Sophie and Keith. I felt like he could have reacted in a much better way. Fitz reacted in a Fitz way, and he didn't really have any positive development in this book, unfortunately. She is just making me hate Fitz more. So yeah, that's all I had to say about the character. Next up, we have to talk about the plot of Stellarlune because there was a lot of interesting things going on. Overall, the plot of Stellarlune was pretty well paced. I will say I was much more engaged in the beginning and the endings, the first 200 pages and the last 200 pages. The middle section was a little bit slow, but what do we expect from Shannon? The middle is kind of, you're trying to solve the problem, you're trying to research, you're trying to dig deeper into the problem, and that's why we get those slow middles. So I understand, although I wish there's more action within the middle parts. What I did love about the plot of Stellarlune was the foreshadowing. Shannon put almost all of the pieces early into the book. She put the stuff about the islands, the trolls. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she put all the pieces in place like near the beginning that turned out to be like Gisela's plan in the end, like sinking the islands and making negotiations with the trolls. Like those things we knew early on, but we never thought of them as like the core issue, which is really cool. I always love being surprised by Shannon's foreshadowing, and she really did a great job in this book. It reminds me of Lodestar, which also had really great foreshadowing as well. I do feel that Shannon had some loose ends with this book, especially within the cache. There was so much information that we learned from the cache that weren't really useful in this book. Maybe it would have been more beneficial to like listen to a few memories in this book and then revisit it in the 10th book, because I am going to forget a lot about the cache because there's only a few bits that were actually useful. But what Shannon did a stellar job on with the plot was including pieces from like the history and the backstory of the Lost Cities. That was amazing and that was beautiful. It kind of makes this book seem more grand than it was, explaining such little things like the tribunal that was happening when Sophie was coming and how Glimmer is incorporated in the story. I feel like Shannon really digged into some of the previous books and tried to wrap up some of those loose ends. She's leaving more, but she is also wrapping up some of the old loose ends, and I thought that was brilliant, especially like I said, that tribunal piece and some of the backstory within like Orlai and Kenrick and the council. That was really cool. Like ending the missing Starstone arc, for example, like Beyonda had the Starstone. We now know where the Starstone goes to. Like wrapping up some of those little details was beautiful. But yeah, other than that, I think that the plot was pretty good. Maybe not Shannon's best. Like I think Shannon's best plots were in the early books, but Shannon is kind of getting back into that flow again, which I really appreciate. Now we are on to the last piece, which is action. My biggest critique was that there wasn't very much action. I don't love how Shannon just kind of paused the book. Like she always does this sometimes in her cliffhangers, which I don't really love. Is like we're in this huge action sequence and then she just goes paused. You have to wait for another book. I would have preferred the action to resolve before the book ended and then had like that one final scene and then it's like, oh, big shocker. I think I liked the cliffhanger in this book, but it didn't feel like we got a resolve through the book, which is kind of weird because there should be like a falling action and a resolution to the book, but there wasn't. I mean, Shannon can do whatever she wants because she's like a millionaire writing books, but I do prefer the falling action, the resolution to every single book. And I feel like the only action that we really got was maybe meeting with the Neverseen and then the final scene. There wasn't too much action that stood out to me. I feel like there could have been more, maybe like in finding Keith, there could have been more steps involved, maybe like a fight with the Neverseen while they're finding Keith. Like I just think there could have been more action sprinkled throughout the series of events. I also want to say that the ending was kind of confusing, just that whole action scene. Elysian, like I still don't quite understand it, and I think Shannon has fell down this rabbit hole of making all these new substances like shadow flux and magnesium, and there's just so much like different vocabulary and things you need to study up on and learn that it gets confusing at times. I'm gonna have to reread that like a couple of times to understand what the ending meant, but overall I think the action was just, it was lacking in this book, and that definitely knocks down like half a star or a full star for me. I think overall this book is going to get a 4 stars out of 5. I love some of the new romance changes in this book, as well as the plotting and the character development, but there was just missing some action and pacing that would have made this book so much better. Overall, I think this is definitely a redemption because books like Legacy, Unlocked, Flashback, they were just kind of weak, but this book presents itself as much of a stronger book in my opinion, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about this book as well. If you're someone who rereads the book a bunch of times, like what are your thoughts like overall and in comparison to some of the other books, because I'm really interested in your thoughts. But if you did enjoy this comprehensive review, please do be sure to leave a like on this video. I would super appreciate it because I put a lot of time into scripting this out for you. Subscribe down below for more content about Stellarlune. I have got some interesting ideas. Comment down below again your thoughts and share this video with a friend who's also read Stellarlune and discuss your thoughts with them. That's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you guys in a future one. Hope you have a happy holidays, and I'll see you guys in the new year. Bye. Love you.